السلام عليكم اخوتي ومرحبا بكم في فيديو جديد. في هذا الفيديو غادي نشوفوا واحد الحوار ما بين واحد الداعية اسلاميه وواحد الانسانه ملحده اللي هي من الحركه النسويه. المهم باقي ما شفتش الفيديو، غادي نشوفوا اونصومبل، غادي نشوفوا الحوار كيفاش غادي يدوز مع بعضياتنا. ولكن اللي كنتوقع هو انه هاد السيده هادي غتقول نفس الهضره اللي كيقولوها الناس كاملين اللي كيعتقدوا بانهم على حق، وانهم هما الناس اللي كيامنوا بالعلم، وانهم هما الناس اللي كيخدموا دماغهم. حنا الناس اللي كنامنوا بالله، حنا الناس اللي محبسين دماغنا. يعني نفس الهضره كتعاود وكتعاود وكتعاود. يعني هادشي اللي كنتوقع من هاد السيده غادي تقول. المهم ما نزيدش نطولش عليكم بزاف، نبقى نحرق الفيلم، نتفرجوا اونصومبل ونشوفوا اشنو كاين.
In a sense, we're in the cosmos, we're in the world around us, we are part of the world. But here's what I would say. Look, I agree with you that we don't want to follow any man-made religions. And I also agreed with your point that God is gender neutral, right? So it can't be a man and it can't be a woman, right? So all of these points are things I would say are agreements. Here's what I would say though. If you agree that there is a reasoning behind everything that exists, and that reasoning is attributed to a higher power. Let's say that higher power is God, for the sake of argument. Now what is, pardon?
For an easy one, yep.
Yeah, all right, so this higher power now has created everything around us. I think you've come to that conclusion. Okay, fine. Everything is not just a random generation. What is the relationship we should have with that?
هنا قال واحد الكلمه اللي هي random generation، يعني شي حاجه اللي جات بالعشوائيه. ملي كتسول الملحد شنو معنيه العشوائيه ما غيقدرش يجاوبك، حيت بالنسبه ليه العشوائيه شي حاجه كتوقع غير هكاك، في حين ان العشوائيه هي شي حاجه اللي حنا ما قادينش نفهموها. الا كنا عارفين كاع المعلومات على واحد السيستم معين، فاننا رحنا غادي نقدروا نتنبؤوا بالمستقبل ديال داك السيستم. يعني بما اننا حنا ما يمكنش امبوسيبل نعرفوا كاع العوامل اللي كتدخل في واحد الظاهره او في واحد الحاجه معينه، فبالتالي ما نقدروش نتنبؤوا بشنو غادي يوقع من بعد. داكشي علاش ملي ما كنفهموش شي حاجه كنسميوها العشوائيه، يعني شي حاجه كتوقع بعشوائيه حيت ما كنقدوش نتنبؤوا كيفاش ديك الحاجه غادي تتوقع.
Particular higher power. And what you seem to be communicating to me, which I agree with you to some extent, is that relationship we should have with the higher power is one which everything else in creation is having with that higher power. So we want to be, you said we want to be one with nature in a sense, yeah?
No, I didn't say that.
Go on, tell me.
So I actually do believe that there is evolution, and I do believe that life as we know it now has come from chaos and from evolution.
Okay.
But I believe specifically human beings, my emotional set that cannot be replicated by an animal, because I did not evolve from an animal and I was given a life by something different. But obviously you can go into the Natural History Museum and you can clearly see how humans have evolved to some extent. But then there's this missing link, oh that's handy isn't it, and a big bang. But then if you look at animals you can actually see how there has been processes throughout the changes of the Earth's life cycle in the last millennium, millions of years, that have made animals be able to live the way that they've lived. However, I believe humans and animals aren't from the same breed, and that my God inside me, so if we're going to say God, is my conscience, is my ability to love, and is my ability to interact with other people and make them feel loved as well.
What you seem to be communicating is that, all right, there's all of these processes that are taking place on Earth.
Yeah.
They appear to us to be random,
Yeah.
but then there seems to be some kind of power that's guiding everything.
So if you're talking about animal evolution,
Okay, go on.
so for instance, say there's animal evolution, there's a big wipeout, lots of the species die. Say I've got 5 types of tiger. One type of tiger's got a especially long fur coat. 4 types of those tigers will die out, one will survive, and then they will breed those rest of the tigers, and then they will individually have their own genetic mutations, how evolution works, right? That's not somebody who's got like magic wand, push, push, push.
No, I understand. Oh, no, I get it. But here's what I want to say to you.
Yeah.
Let me deal with this contention straight on, right?
Okay, right?
The point of mutations, or what's referred to sometimes as random mutations, yeah, is sometimes used in atheistic discourse to try and do away with the idea of, let's say, an organizer or the ultimate an architect or something. And this is kind of like where Charles Darwin, he started off actually in his Origins of Species by saying that there is an architect and this is the process that he's saying, and then he went off to talk about actually there may not be.
Work in process.
Right, so he started refuting William Paley and so on. But the point I wanted to make to you is this, is that most atheists that I've come across, let me give you one name. Sam Harris. Okay, Sam Harris is one of the most popular pop atheists in the world now. Yeah, he says he believes in determinism. Determinism is basically this. He says that everything that comes before has a reason or causation. There's an uninterrupted line of causation. In other words, what I'm saying to you right now is not something I'm saying out of free will, but it's because I'm pushed out of necessity to say it. Now, if you think about what atheists say, most of, listen, bro, I'm just speaking to the, I'll speak to you later, brother, yeah? This guy's a bit weird, man. He's embarrassing himself in front of the people. Yeah, now having said that, what I was going to say was this, is that if you believe, like Sam Harris does, and like most atheists do, that in fact, all the orders are determined because there's an uninterrupted causal line, which we don't have any control over, then you can't then say that there's a random mutation, because the word random, it contradicts determinism. I know. But what I'm saying is this, is that the point for determinism, which most atheists accept, okay, yeah, no problem, yeah, no, that's good, because we'll move on to a free will discussion. But it contradicts the idea of a random mutation, right? Yeah, so what I'm saying is this, is that first and foremost, the new atheistic narrative, which a lot of people, like living in the world that we live in now, are exposed to. You listen to Richard Dawkins, you listen to Sam Harris, you listen to these individuals, and then you come out with something of what they're saying, and you rephrase it in your own kind of spiritual way, and you think that you're coming up with something new. Really and truly, you're just absorbing the social forces around you, and you're coming up with your own articulation. Accepted. But what I'm saying is this, is that those narratives are self-contradictory narratives. Like the new atheistic narratives presupposes for the most part that the world is predetermined, but then it uses Darwinian evolution as a way of saying there's random mutation. So they have to understand, is there determinism or is there randomness? You can't have both at the same time. So what I'm saying to you is that the case for determinism is actually,
your belief set?
what I say is I'm a compatibilist. So I believe in we have free will.
Yes.
I believe we all have free will, but I also accept the fact that everything has been pushed in a certain way. There is an uninterrupted causal line that we can't deny.
It's like a river, right? So there's like a river bed.
Yes.
And water has free will, but unfortunately it has to follow where it's...
You could use that analogy. I would say all analogies are problematic, but having said that, you see, on this issue of compatibilism, like free will versus determinism, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Understand.
But what I'm trying to say to you is this, is that now when we look at, let me tell you something, yeah? Let me tell you something right now.
Okay, but first you asked me my belief system and I asked you yours back.
Yes.
I just feel like you haven't answered the
Fine,
question.
let me come to you, right?
Okay. I'm waiting.
All right, let me explain something.
Yeah.
Usually a theist, I'm a theist, so I believe in one God,
Yep.
and I believe that God is the organizer, the lawmaker of the universe, all right? Now, for me to prove that to you, usually some people, they go for something like the fine-tuning argument. The fine-tuning argument goes the following. It goes like this. It goes that, look at the order around the world, yeah? The fact that the universe can harbor human life, the probability of that being the case, or not being the case, will be that you have something that you...
Shit.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Yes.
I would say that there's a problem with that argument. There's only one problem. The problem is this. If we take determinism, or the idea that there's an uninterrupted causal line of events, as something which is a given, which is actually undeniable, you could argue, yeah? That actually there is an uninterrupted causal line of events, yeah? Then really, the chance that this universe could have been with the constituencies that it has is zero.
Yeah.
The reason why is because there's no such thing as chance. Chance doesn't exist. Chance and randomness are in fact a byproduct of our ignorance.
Yeah.
If we say this is random, or this is chaotic, or this is chance, what in fact we're saying is we cannot
فوالا هادشي اللي قلت لكم في الاول.
explain these set of variables. Had we had more information and understood why things are the way they are, we would be able to explain why this thing is acting the way it does. So in other words, the idea of chance factors contributing to the reason why things are the way they are is, even by the admission of atheists themselves, Sam Harris case in point, an impossibility from a philosophical perspective. So therefore, I would say to you, number one, I believe that there's an organizer, a lawmaker of the universe. My proof for that is that there couldn't have been chance, not because of the probability, like I've used before the example. If I took a bag of letters and I threw it on letters, L-E-T-T-E-R-S, no, not letters, no. If I took a bag of letters, yeah, and like let's say 1 billion letters, yeah, and I shake it up nice and good, and I throw it on the floor, it's not going to be William Shakespeare's Macbeth.
So that you must have heard that argument that if you gave 100 monkeys typewriters,
Type it,
eventually they'd write the
yeah.
Bible.
But what
It's chance
I'm
and
saying,
anything could happen.
good. But what I'm saying to you now is that chance does not exist, and there's no way of you proving it. So for me to say, okay, look,
There is a way guy I can.
Okay, go on. I'm
Get
asking.
100
Yeah.
monkeys. I'll get
Yeah.
a bag of a billion letters, and we can stand here for 100
Good.
years. Until
But now the
something
100 monkeys being.
there's
Listen.
a chance, but it's a chance.
But-
And of course, chance exists.
But
Or else
Lindsay,
why is that?
is it Lindsay?
Call me Lindsay.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
You haven't asked my name yet.
Oh.
No, I'm Angela.
No, I don't shake hands with women for
Oh,
religious
really?
reasons. Yeah, for religious reasons.
In that case, I don't think I can speak to you anymore.
Why? Is that what?
Shake hands with her.
Because I think that's really offensive.
No, no,
But
men.
that's okay, that's okay, though.
No, no.
You have
But
your belief set and I
but
have
but
mine
hold
at
on.
that point.
دابا هاد الناس هادو قال لك كيامنوا بالحريه ديال الاعتقاد، الحريه ديال ازلونغ، يعني بما انك ما تتادينيش فانت حر تقدر دير اللي بغيتي. شوفوا دابا هو يعني هو حر حيتاش هو مسلم ما تيسلمش على النساء. قالت له ما بقيتش باغا نهضر معاك، علاش؟ حيتاش انت ما كتسلمش. يعني هنا كاين واحد النوع من التمييز العنصري. يعني هما براسهم هاد الملحدين اولا هاد العقليه اللي كاينه في الغرب، الا جينا نفكروا فيها واخا نفكروا غير شويه غنلقاوهم متناقضين مع ريوسهم. سيرتو دابا انا هنا في المانيا عندي صحابي ملحدين، عندي صحابي مسيحيين، يعني كندخلوا في نقاشات بعض المره، كنهضروا. دخلت في نقاش كاع مع الاستاذ ديالي حيتاش كنت مشيت، كانت عندنا واحد السورتي ديال التيران، كان عندنا خصنا عندنا الخدمه في التيران، ومشينا وتلاقينا. المهم وتجبدات الهضره هكا بالصدفه وبقينا تنهضروا، وقع بزاف ديال الحوايج، قالت بزاف ديال الهضره. يعني في الاخر تلقاهم ديما هما متناقضين مع راسهم، ديما متناقضين مع راسهم. وملي كتقول له خدام عقلك تيقول لك اي دونت نو، تيقول لك انا ما عارفش، يعني ما عارفش، في حين ان كل شيء باين. المهم كملوا الفيديو نشوف شنو يوقع.
Shake hands
No,
with
but
her.
hold on. Let me tell you something though, yeah? This is good. This is good. It shows you that they're incapable of having conversation with someone who doesn't believe
Yeah.
in certain values. So they wouldn't be shaking hands with a tribal leader in Africa. They'd walk away from
يعني
them.
حاجه اخرى لاحظتها هما انهم كيامنوا بواحد القضيه، بما انك انت ما كتناقضنيش فانت حر. الا ناقضتيني في الفكر، الا كنت انا كنامن بواحد الحاجه وانت كتامن بواحد الحاجه النقيض ديالها، فانت راك ما مزيانش. هنا ما كتبقاش انت حر، يعني راك حر as long as راه حنايا متفقين. سكيزوفرينيا.
Because you're not allowed to shake hands with tribal leaders in Africa. If you had a Jew, you wouldn't shake hands with them because an Orthodox Jew. So in other words, if you don't believe in our liberal values the way we accept them and the way we shape them and the way we, then we're not going to have conversations with you. So that's intolerance. That's liberal intolerance.
Voilà.
And I'm very happy it was on camera. Walk away. It's feministic intolerance.
Yeah.
White person's intolerance. Very
وفي
good.
الاخر تيجي تيقول لك حنا تنامنوا بالتسامح وتنامنوا بالحريه، وكل واحد يعتقد اللي بغى وكل واحد يامن باش ما بغى الحريه. هانتوما تتشوفوا، وهذا الشيء راه ماشي غير هنا، هذا الشيء انا تنعيشه وتنشوف.
Very happy. Walk away because you know what? I'm going to speak to people on my terms. You know, if you don't want to touch me, you don't have to touch me. I'm not going to force you to touch me. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, and this is the ridiculousness of feminism. Let's move on the subject. Like, let's change the subject to something else. If a woman, think about this from a second feminist.
الوغ اخوتي، هنا غادي يسالي الفيديو وغادي تبدا البارت الثانيه اللي غادي نخليها لكم ان شاء الله الجمعه القادمه ان شاء الله بحول الله. كنتمنى الفيديو يعجبكم، كنتمنى تخليو لي الاراء ديالكم في كومونتير، كنتمنى انكم الى عجبكم الفيديو تابوناو الا كنتو مازال ما تابونيتوش، وتخليو جيم الفيديو وتبارطاجيو. شكرا لكم بزاف، وجمعه مباركه عاوتاني. وما تنساوش تمشيو للجامع وتصليو الجمعه. تهلاو.